Hello, I'm going to give you a brief demonstration of Microsoft Office-based solution for automated letter generation. And before I show you the demo, I will just quickly repeat the key concepts. Uh, Microsoft Word, of course, is the tool for authoring. And within Word, you have something called the content controls. And this came about starting Office 2007. And think of content controls as controls that you can have within a document, where you can say it's a text field or a date field. You can apply validation as users enter content in content controls. And then there's this notion of OpenXML SDK. It is the API to create and manipulate Office documents. And I'm going to be using in this demo the OpenXML SDK along with content controls to generate this automated letters. And then the last thing in this demo is, of course, the SharePoint server, which is the portal product as part of the Microsoft Office system. And we will be leveraging two key things there. The first one is the Word Automation Service. This is the server-side scalable capability to convert a Word document into PDF. And of course, the portal server, Microsoft SharePoint server, offers content management, workflow, version control, and those kinds of capabilities, and record management. So we'll be looking at these four aspects of the automated letter generation solution. So this slide talks about our high-level approach to our solution here. As I said earlier, we are going to use Microsoft Word and content controls to author the template. So for every type of correspondence or letter that we generate, we would create a template, and that would be created in Word using content controls. And the next step is the document generation. So once we have the template, then we can bind it to real data, customer name, customer address, etc. And that is done using the Open Office XML SDK. And the third step is then we convert the Word document that was generated by binding the template to data into a PDF file, which we can then send to a printer. And out of the box, there's support for Word to PDF. And we can use third-party utilities to convert into other formats that are listed there, like AFP. And then the last step is the document management part, where we can take the generated document, store it, version control it, or mark it as a record, or archive it. So you can see from this approach that the things listed in black is the functionality that is supported by Microsoft Office system out of the box. And then I've listed here there are some customizations that have to be applied on top. So think of that Office subsystem as a set of building blocks that enable you to build this Word letter automation solution. But then we have to apply some customizations to make sure that the solution follows the business rules that are domain specific. So now that we understand at a conceptual level the four steps that are involved in this automated letter generation, let's take a quick look at the demo. And I must tell you that this demo shows you the key building blocks. And again, remember that there would be a need for some customization that needs to be applied to match your domain specific business process. So let me go ahead and change my machine here, and let me open up a Word document. In fact, I got started with a simple Word document here, and I have a bunch of text. Although it may seem like a bunch of text, what is interesting about this document is it has a bunch of content controls. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Developer tab, and then if I go into the design mode, you'll be able to see the content controls. Now recall that content controls are UI elements within a document where author of a document can enter some data, and the UI controls, based on the type of UI control, some validation rules can be applied, whether there is date, or it is a text or a rich text control, etc. Okay, so in this case, I have a product name, purchase date, group to bill, etc. And just to show you how you would create a content control, let me just add another content control. So I'm going to call it remarks, and I just entered some text. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go back into the developer tab and find the right content control. And these are the various content controls that are available to me. So I have the rich text, I have text control, I have image control, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go pick this text control, and there you have it. I've inserted a text control right next to the remarks label that I just added. Let me go ahead and add a name to this control so that we'll be able to find it easily. So let me call this remarks, and I'm also going to call the tag name remarks here as well. So let's just go ahead and save this. So this is a template, and we have defined a bunch of UI controls that go along with this template. So I'm going to go ahead and save this document here. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and close this. I am now going to bring up a tool called the Content Control Toolkit. And this is a toolkit that Microsoft developed. And what it does is it allows me to open the document. And what this toolkit does is it reads all of the content controls that are embedded within a given document. Now keep in mind that the content controls is just UI with some validation on that. It does not still have a semantic meaning associated with that. What do I mean by that? Well, your document consists of various sections. It could be the header section. It could be a paragraph about a certain policy detail. It could be a paragraph about requesting further correspondence, and so on and so forth. You may have different common elements that go into these various letters. And that's what I mean by the semantic definition of the content that you generate. Now, what we need to do next is we need to map the UI controls with these list of document sections that I just described. And a common way to do that is to define these different document sections as an XML schema. An XML schema is just an XML structure. So let me go ahead and open up this document that I just saved. And if I saved it correctly, we should see a new field here called remarks. And right there you see it, and it is of type text. And on the right hand side of the screen, you see a schema or a structure. And think of this as catalog of various sections that you may have defined already. Okay, in your case, this will look like paragraph 1 or rule number 1 or requesting further correspondence, like I said earlier. So the next thing I want to do is map these content controls with this semantic meanings here. I've already applied the mapping here for some of them. As you can see, the name is already mapped, the group is already mapped. Remarks is a new content control we added, so it is not mapped. So I'm going to go ahead and take the remarks section and just move it here to remarks field. And now I have sort of tied the remarks content control with the remark document section. Okay, so this is the way someone would go about creating a template. Create the UI controls, have a semantic definition, and map the two. Okay. Now you've seen an experience where I opened Word in one case, then I opened the control toolkit in another instance. This was again to bring out the concept of this mapping. In your scenario, what would happen is you would only have to open up the Word document, and instead of coming to the control toolkit, you would build a control which will essentially reside inside the Word document itself. So the author of the template would not have to go ahead and work with two tools. They would simply open up a template. They would see all the document sections. On the right, they would drag and drop the document sections and complete the template in that manner. So we've seen step 1 and step 2. Let's take a quick look at step 3, where we'll convert the Word document into a PDF document. And the important thing again to note is that this is a server-side conversion service, so you can scale it up by adding more servers. If you have thousands of documents that you're trying to convert as a batch, you can scale it up. And what you don't want to do is have some utility that will not scale on the server side. So this service is designed to scale, and by default it converts Word into a PDF document. So let me go ahead and switch to my demo machine here. So that concludes our first demonstration of the first step. Let's now look at the document generation step here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my machine here, and let me select another template that I have already populated. And this is my template. I'm going to use this for my example. Going forward, this is an invoice that I need to generate. I have the number, I have the content control here, I have the company name, address, city, state, zip, etc. And then I have a label here called comments. Of course, there's no content control here. I'm going to go ahead and save this document template into SharePoint. And in fact, let me just go ahead and let me just save it to SharePoint, and let me just bring up the SharePoint interface here. And if I go to, and this is, for those who have not seen this, this is the portal product, part of the Microsoft Office family. And the concept of folder is, it's a collection of documents. And I have called or created a folder called form templates. And in the form template, I have the document that I just saved called the invoice master. And in fact, we can take a quick look at invoice master. This is the template I just saved. And also, just for making my demo simpler, I stored another document with all the data that I wanted to bind to this template. Okay. Typically, what would happen is this data would be supplied dynamically. So typically you would have a web service of some sort which would take a request from a program. So you might have a custom program that goes into the appropriate customer screen, and you want to go ahead and generate a certain correspondence to that customer. So you go ahead and select that customer details, select the right template, and all this information will be sent to some kind of a web service or a server. So you pass in the template type, you pass in all the customer details, and then the web service would then combine the two using OpenXML SDK and then generate a populated document. Okay, so this is still our template. Remember, it has some template data here that I just default data that I put in. But here is the real data. If you look, open up this XML file, this is where I store the real data. Okay, and again, this would be supplied dynamically by the client. Okay, so we are in the portal product once again. We have the form folder where I have the template, and I also have a document library called shared documents. And this is where the generated instance of that template will get stored. Okay, so how do I go about generating the document? I've written a small web service here, and let me go ahead and bring that up. Here's my web service, and what this does is it takes the name of the template and it says which template do you want. I'm going to select the invoice master template, and then I can click on this button to generate an invoice. So let me go ahead and click that, and while this is in the background, it is generating the document. Let's just go back to our document library here, and I told you in the shared documents folder I should see a document that was generated, and sure enough, here is our document that was generated. Okay, and if I go ahead and open this document, here you see now the data has been replaced by the data that was supplied to us dynamically by that XML file. So we've taken the template and using OpenXML SDK converted into an instance of this document. Okay, so that is step number 2. If I go back here to my PowerPoint slide here. So if I go back here to my PowerPoint slide, you will see that I have just used OpenXML SDK to take that template and then bind it to data and then convert it into document. Okay. The next step in the process is to allow someone to view the generated document and make sure that document is indeed valid, maybe add a comment, make some small changes without having to open the document inside Word. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we have seen step 1 and step 2. Let's take a quick look at step 3, where we'll convert the Word document into a PDF document. And the important thing again to note is that this is a server-side conversion service, so you can scale it up by adding more servers. If you have thousands of documents that you're trying to convert as a batch, you can scale it up. And what you don't want to do is have some utility that will not scale on the server side. So this service is designed to scale, and by default it converts Word into a PDF document. So let me go ahead and switch to my demo machine here. So here we are back in SharePoint, and this was the document that we just generated, and I just opened it up inside a browser, and I can make some lightweight changes. If I wanted to make changes to the semantic structure or the content portion of the document, I would have to open it inside Word desktop. And if I go back here and notice that this document was just generated a few minutes back, and our goal is now to convert this Word document into a PDF file. And as I showed you earlier, I have written a simple web application, and what this web application does, and we've already seen this before, it took a template, it took a piece of data, it generated the document. The other thing this application does is it starts the conversion. And note here that SharePoint is exposing a bunch of APIs to perform these operations. So whether it is converting from Word to PDF, there's an API for that, and my web application is essentially calling that conversion API. So let me go ahead and start the conversion here. And so it says starting the conversion. It may take some time, and we'll wait a second here, go back to our document library, and let's just try to refresh and see if our PDF got generated. Indeed, our PDF was generated just a few minutes back here. And if I go ahead and open the PDF, you will see that it is the same document, obviously. And one of the nice things about the Word Automation Service is that it preserves full fidelity of the document. So if your Word document had a certain layout or a certain page structure or page break, all of those things are preserved in the PDF document that got generated. So this concludes our document conversion step. So the last thing I'm going to show here is the step 4, which is the document management portion of it. As I said earlier, SharePoint is acting as the document management system, so I can check out a document, I can version control it, I can even mark a document as a record. So I'm going to go back to my SharePoint portal here. So I'm now back in my SharePoint portal, and this was my document that was generated. I can come in and select a document, and I can change the properties of the document. I can version control it, so I can check this document out here and transfer that document to my local folder. I can make some changes, check back in, and all of the capabilities that you would expect. And the same thing applies for the templates as well. So here is where I'm storing all my templates. I could come in and check this template out and make changes to the template. Okay, so all of these capabilities are built into SharePoint. And when you think of all of these building blocks in your own domain, I've shown you the various capabilities of the platform. One way to think about this is you would have a bunch of controls that you would build that would reside inside the Word desktop by itself. And then what you would be able to do is create a new template by dragging and dropping certain sections. And there would be another control which would say, now take this template and then bind it to a customer data. You would also have the ability to then kick off or submit that conversion as part of a batch process. So all of the things that I had to show you from the portal or from my web application or from the control toolkit can then be combined into a single word interface. And instead of using the out-of-the-box SharePoint workflow, you could use a third-party product which you may be using. If you're using Metastorm or K2, you could replace the out-of-the-box workflow. Let's say you wanted to seek approval for a certain template, you can do that through workflows. So that concludes the quick demonstration of the 4 steps involved and a description of the various products that make the Microsoft Office system. Thank you.